What is the dumbest thing you got sent to the principal's office for as a kid? My friend broke his wrist, like obviously broken, on the playground, and I ran inside to help the teacher find an ice pack. It took at least 5 minutes before I lost my patience and ran inside because around a year earlier I came across one while cleaning the principal's office. That was deserved though. Because kids weren't allowed to go inside during recess, while I helped both the teacher and my friend, I had to stay at the principal's office and had detention for a week. Back in junior high, one of my classmates passed out while sitting outside on the bench during lunchtime. One of her friends stayed with her in the office till the other girl's mom came to get her, so the friend was 10 to 15 minutes late to class. Teacher asked her why she was late and she told her what happened. I'll never forget that old bat's response, "Why? You're not her mother." For falling asleep in a class. It was a class that just happened to be taught by the director. For getting beat up. I kid you not, the principal once told me that if I don't fight, I won't get in trouble. I let this kid bully me and punch me repeatedly in the face, just to avoid getting in trouble. I was still sent to the principal's office, and then told by him that I was in a fight, so I'm getting suspended, even though I didn't fight. From his point of view, by getting punched in the face, I'm involved in the fight. I never trusted authorities again after that. I once got sent to the principal's office for wearing mismatched socks. Apparently, it was a distraction. My choir teacher sent me to the principal's for singing off-key. She assumed I was doing it on purpose / trying to be funny, but really I'm just that terrible of a singer. I'll always remember the time I took the Madagascar CD to school to exchange it for the Ice Age CD with a friend in 9th grade. The CDs didn't have covers, and when the principal caught us exchanging them, he assumed the worst and called our parents to school. But then, when the principal opened the CD on his desktop, it was playing Madagascar. My parents were annoyed for being called to school for no reason, and the principal had to apologize. This all happened in India, and it was quite an unforgettable experience. Spent all of lunch recess in the bathroom because I had a nasty bout of diarrhea. Was told I should have asked permission before going back inside first. He later apologized. Oh. Let me tell you why I got sent to the principal's office in 7th grade. My shop teacher walked up to me and kissed my hand, then kissed my mouth. I slapped his face and he told me to go to the principal's office. This was in front of every single kid in that class. The principal called my mom. I remember she was in that office within less than 10 minutes flat. Called that shop teacher down to the office and they told me to wait outside the office with the school secretary. I'm 50 years old and I can still hear my mother screaming / ripping them a new asshole. I was moved to home EC class. My mom made a police report her boyfriend was a cop. Nothing else ever came of it. That teacher left the school at the end of the year. High school, eating an apple in the hallway before homeroom. The VP wanted me to throw it out and I refused because I didn't want to waste food. Got detention. Was released as soon as the buses left. Had to find a ride home. At lunch I found the worst looking, bruised, mushy apple I could find and brought it to detention with me. Left it on her desk. In 6th grade, I cut a dime in half on a paper cutter, and was given a week of in-school suspension for making weapons. The school was in D.C., and the principal also called the Secret Service for defacing money. An agent actually showed up. He spoke to me for all of 30 seconds, basically saying I'd have been smarter to use it at an ice cream truck, and half a dime is no use to anyone. A science teacher who took a shine to me later told me that the agent spent half an hour with the principal, explaining that his call was stupid, an absolute waste of time, and not to do it again. Made that week in ISS go a little easier for me. I got sent to the principal's office for a paddling that was meant for my identical twin brother. There were embarrassed apologies made the next day. Edit, my most upvoted comment on Reddit is taking my twin brother's school paddling at the age of 9? Running to a trusted teacher's room when a girl was chasing me with a freaking shiv. WTF, he literally said, well, you should have gone to the gym, coach, it happened in the locker room after PE. I asked him what the hell did he think I was going to do, stop and consider who to go to first? I was about to be stabbed, you idiot. I actually said those exact words, this memory is so strong it's like it happened yesterday. He just stood there slack-jawed and then, without saying anything else, said okay, go back to class. What a dimwit. Got pulled into the principal's office for selling pornography/Playboy magazines. They searched my bag and locker and found nothing. Turns out another kid who looks like me was the culprit. I got interested in the Salem witch trials when I was about 11, and as a fast reader who hyperfixates, I had checked several books out of the library on the topic to read. I kept these books on my desk and carried them around while doing my research. One of the other kids in my class went crying to the principal that I was a witch, so I got called into the principal's office to explain my choice of reading. Thankfully, the principal took one look at my books, saw that they were all nonfiction/history, and pretty much laughed me out of the office. For context, this was the early 90s, so the satanic panic was still going fairly strong. A classmate handcuffed me, and the emergency release failed. We ended up spending the entire break in the office trying to get them off. I hugged a friend who was away for over a month, with enthusiasm. My teacher claimed I was assaulting him, so I was forced by the principal to write apology letters to my friend and the teacher. I refused and my parents had to get involved. 3rd grade. Wrote a swear word with pretzels on the lunch table and showed my friend. We laughed. Somebody else sitting at the table told on us. We didn't get to have recess for the rest of the week. Refusing to deny the existence of negative numbers. I can't recall the exact details of the assignment, as it was several decades ago, but I got into a shouting match with my 1st grade teacher over an assignment where we had to arrange numbers to make new equations. We hadn't been taught negative numbers officially, but my dad had taught me how they worked while I was in preschool. Even as a tiny kid, I was still a huge nerd. I kept arranging the equations to give both positive and negative results, but the teacher only wanted positive answers and got mad at me for doing it wrong, but she couldn't explain a right way to do things that made any sense, just basically told me I was cheating. I got sent to the principal's office, explained the situation, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know why she's not letting you submit those answers. If you want, you can hang out here and read until that assignment is over. I'll talk to her after class." He did, and the teacher apologized to me the next day. That principal was a good dude, and part of the reason I eventually ended up getting a teaching degree. The teacher, not so much. Wearing a green bow in my hair. Apparently, it didn't appropriately complement my blue jumper. Fashion crimes are very severe. Substitute teacher mispronounced my last name. I simply replied with correct pronunciation of my last name. He said huh, so I repeated it. He then started me for like 3 seconds and then told me to go to the office lol. Throwing a tennis ball over the school and hitting a kid, it had my full name on it. It might be 20 years later, but I am very sorry, Adam. They had us read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and assigned an essay examining the themes and discussing how we relate to them. The teacher probably said institutionalization 100 times to hammer home the central theme of the novel, and I really only had the one institution in my life to relate it to: school. I didn't write about my school in particular, just how the public education system and its need to impose order and follow a rubric can promote authoritarianism and repress the individual. I expected every paper submitted to be pretty similar to mine, because it's the obvious response from a high school kid. Anyway, I was expelled for subversion. Having a low blood sugar in class. I know, how dare me. Smoking in the girls' room after school. I'm a male, was 18 at the time and also had an after-school job. Just happened that a girl with the same name as me was the culprit and our assistant principal was a dumbass. Had a kid make a comment about my long hair and being a disgusting Indian. I turned and looked him dead in the eye and said, "Custer made a comment like that once." The teacher was trying so hard not to laugh but sent us both to the office. Grade 2 or 3, some girls kept asking me to give them snake bites, like an Indian burn, where you grab their forearm and twist the skin in opposing directions. They did it to each other. To me, I did it to them, then got called in after recess. They knew I was a good kid and I was beside myself crying about it, saying we were having fun, and they kept asking me to do it harder. The principal did take pity on me and realized there's no way I could hold down 6 girls and give them each a few snake bites, but advised me not to do that again. I left with a sucker and confused as hell about the whole interaction.